Anthony Melchiori, it's May 26, 2020, and boy, do we have a great guest today, don't we, sir?
I think we have the guest of guests. I think we have the man, the legend, the myth, the person that I am literally, I don't get starstruck. I'm starstruck. Let's go.
And I get starstruck by Anthony. Let's go. All right, and welcome to our new week. It's now officially the unofficial start of summer. I hope everybody had a wonderful Memorial Day holiday and took some time to, think about and reflect about how we got here as a country and all the folks that sacrificed their lives for us. I know Anthony is a military man. That was a very important day for you.
Well, because it's the day that we celebrate the people that gave the ultimate sacrifice. And Veterans Day is to celebrate people like me who served. Mm-hmm. But yesterday was the day to celebrate people who didn't make it. So it is just a tremendous day for me. And it's a day that I get real quiet and I just really appreciate freedom isn't free. And it's an important day. And thank for all those people that sent me, wishes. But today is a day that really is a culmination of 30 years in the industry. This is the man that
I like the dramatic music in the background.
You like that? This is the man that, to me, identifies what it means not to be a five-star hotelier, but to be a hotelier. That it starts with your people and it starts with what the guest wants. And he's who taught me that. He's the person that taught me that by just watching him and following his career. Never met him, never spoke to him, so it's a big day for me. Let's bring him on, my brother.
Wow. Horst Shultze here with us. It is such an honor and pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hey, guys, it's my honor. Pleasure to be with you.
We're going to polite ourselves to death during this conversation, I think, Anthony.
Yeah. But we are hoteliers. Come on. We are hoteliers.
All right. So one of the things that we really like to do is we just like to get into it. We have been suffering in the hospitality industry, the worst crisis that we've ever seen. I can't even imagine something ever being worse than this. Everything that we took for granted has changed. Everything that we thought was sacrosanct is up for grabs right now. How does the man who focused on ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen, make sure that people can serve with dignity, respect when things have changed so much and the whole notion of service is up for change?
Well, of course, look, situations like that do not change values and objectives. An organization, no matter what, or an individual, I should not give up my vision. I cannot give up my vision. I cannot give up my values. What I have to change is priorities, maybe strategies, maybe systems, maybe people. Everything can change, but not the vision of of Ritz Carlton or Capella was to become the finest hotel or service organization in the world. There shouldn't be any setback on that. You have to maintain your vision of your company that you have. You have to. By the way, it worries me even to say that because so many organizations don't even share the vision that they have with their employees. That means we are not giving our employees purpose, which is a terrible thing to do. But that shouldn't change your purpose, but also your values. But your strategies and everything, your priorities have to change. The number one priority for me in a situation like that would be the company has to survive.
Right.
The company has to survive because without it, nobody has anything. Number two, you have to somehow hold on to the customers that were yours. In fact, you should figure out when you come out of that, how do my customers, my guests even respect me and care for me more? How do they know that I care more? Number two. Number three, of course, is how do I find new customers because of the situation? Mm-hmm. And number four, what about my employees? I have to make sure that I keep the best of my employee pool. That the top 20% I'm not going to lose. But maybe I have to lose the bottom 30%. Maybe I have to. And that is how to look at it first of all. And then, of course, go back and what is the expectation now? What is excellence now in the view of my customers, of my guests, patients, whatever you call them? What is in their view now excellence? And that has changed. Excellence in their view is now, how do I make sure that that which I use is healthy, that there's no problem? How do I make sure that it is sanitized? How do I make sure as a hotel that people know that my place is sanitized, that I am healthy doing for them what I'm doing? You see, and I have to create excellence like that around that. With other words, by the way, excellence, people don't even know what that means.
Right.
Excellence never is an accident. It's always the result of high intentions. With other words, what are my highest intentions for my customer base at this moment under those circumstances? What are my highest intention? The highest intention has to be that I care for them, that I know I'm giving them a healthy sanitary surrounding, a product that is not of any danger to them. But at the same time, the same thing goes for my employees. How do I do the best and give them a healthy surrounding at work? Excellence is never an accident. It's always high intentions. And the question is, for any business, for any human being, what are my highest intention during those circumstances? And then apply the steps that get me to those high intentions.
You know, you when you were 11 years old, first of all, that is an amazing, I could listen to you all day. When you were 11 years old, you were a busboy. Through your career, you've worked for Hyatt, you've worked for Hilton, you've worked in Europe at the finest hotels, you've worked in America. And then when you came to Ritz Carlton, you kind of put that together to kind of have a little bit maybe more casual service, but also that 5-star service. You put that together. But when was the first moment, whether you were 11 years old, you were 40 years old, when was the first moment that you remember your first boss having high intentions for excellence and giving you a mission?
Oh, good point. It is the day when I arrived, when I was 14, I arrived in a hotel where I was starting to work as a busboy, which was far away from my home at the time, very far, 100 kilometers at that time. That was very far. When I arrived there, and this maitre d', this human being of excellence, he was, talked to us. There were 2 other kids that started at the same time. We shared a dorm room, and he talked to us and said, now tomorrow you come to work at 7 o'clock. You're going to have to do work, but you should come here to create excellence in what you're doing. Now, mind you, with 14 years old, I went right over my head. What is excellence in washing dishes and cleaning floors and cleaning ashtrays? What is excellent? I didn't get that. It took me quite a while to understand what he meant with excellence. His purpose in life was excellence. He would have never entered a restaurant without looking perfect. And I started to recognize his purpose teaching us with excellence. Tough sometimes. In fact, he literally kicked me in the butt a couple of times. And I deserved it. But it all was in order to help me to become excellent in what I'm doing. He was a human being of excellence that truly impacted my life.
You know, I remember a story. I worked for a gentleman who was he was a billionaire, and he owned hotels around the world. And he stayed at the Ritz Carlton. And I asked him, I said, why do you stay at the Ritz Carlton? This is a person that sold it, bought it, invented it. And he said, for one simple reason, they remember my birthday. He could buy the Ritz Carlton, and he said, they remember my birthday.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, we all of us as human beings want to be recognized, want to have self-worth and so on. And that is given in that moment. That shows that somebody cares for me. And if somebody cares for me, I will start trusting them And if I trust them, I become loyal to them. People talk about customer satisfaction, so which is worthless, which has no meaning. A satisfied there are three types of customers. There is the dissatisfied customer or guest, whatever you call them. There is the dissatisfied guest who becomes a terrorist against you. Then there is the satisfied one that go next door if there's a better deal. And then there is the loyal one. Why are they loyal? Because they trust you. Why do they trust you? Because you showed them that you cared for them individually and personally. And if you recognize somebody's birthday, you showed that you care. And it's caring. Think about it. I mean, this is so fascinating, and I don't understand why people don't manage this more. The customer really, the guest really expects three things from you subconsciously. Now, stop here. The subconscious is stronger than the conscience. So subconsciously, they have their expectation is that the product which they buy from you is defect-free. That means clean. From now on, that means sanitized also. It is, everything's working, the key works, the TV changes work. It is defect-free, the product. That's an expectation that you have. And then the number two, the expectation is that you get it in time, everything. And number three is that the people that serve you care for you. And here's the crazy thing. The caring part is the highest driver of customer satisfaction and eventually loyalty. With other words, the caring part establishes trust.
Right. That makes a whole lot of sense to me, Mr. Shultze. If you extend yourself, if you make that.
Do it, Horst. Say Horst.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna try it. Horst. Thank you. Yeah, Anthony.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just love it when you want to get in. This is one of those interviews that I know he's so excited about, so I'm trying to take a little bit of a back seat to it.
All right, so then I'll
just go for it. I'm gonna be here content to just watch you and look at that smile.
One of the things that I hear is when you look at a 5-star hotel and you look at your career and you've created excellence. One of the things that people say, whether they're running a shoe store or they're running a 3-star hotel or 4-star hotel, well, we're not the Ritz Carlton. We're not the 5-star. What do you say to those people? What do you say to the people? Well, I don't have those amenities. I don't have that kind of service, but I just have this business. What do you say to them?
Well, if somebody actually would say that, I would tell them that they're stupid. But I'm a fine hotelier. I wouldn't use those words. I would say to him, that's absolutely ridiculous. If I would run a shoe store today, I would make sure that it is the finest shoes that there is. What does it take? What does it really take? It takes a commitment that anybody who ever enters, it will want to come back and will want to recommend you. That's the objective. That should be the objective of every employee in every hotel in every business. That as soon as you contact a potential customer, to convince that customer to deal with you if they want to buy shoes or want to use a hotel, whatever you're in. In a shoe store, it's still caring for that customer base. In a Red Roof Inn, is still caring for this customer base, for this market segment. The caring part doesn't go back. The fact that that human being that enters your premise, your building, your business, wants to be respected and cared for. And so that doesn't change on the level of market that you serve. It doesn't make any difference.
Why, after all these years, did it take you so long to write your first book, Excellence Wins?
Well, I tell you what, I had played with it, but I didn't really want to, and I'm not good in doing it. But, Stephen Covey, who became a good friend, urged me constantly to write a book. Yes, yeah, okay, Stephen, I will. And he called me again, I will. And then one day I drove home in my car, and I was in the car when he called me and said, Horst, I am disappointed in you. That's how he spoke, very strong, direct. You have the obligation to share the feeling, the soul of what you did with Ritz Carlton and with Capella. You have an obligation to do that. It's not a choice. It's an obligation. And I said, okay, Stephen. And I didn't do it. But a few months later, Stephen Covey passed away. And I had a bad conscience. And it forced me to write that book, thinking about Stephen and writing that book. And putting my heart into it, not so technical, make it so that any young person trying to tell the story, and he told me that too, try to tell the story, what happened, try the story about the thought, the thinking, and making it so that if a young person reads it, they will keep on reading it, not putting it away. And incidentally, the success was not necessarily young people reading it, but business people reading it. And they had many businesses by many. One company bought 5,000, several companies 3,000, 1,000. That was the success and is the success of the book, by the way.
Out of all the people that you've worked for, or worked with, I should say, what's the one ingredient that you find all the high performers, all the people that made you look better, all the people that made you look like literally you created the hotel business, the people behind you, what's the one ingredient you found most important?
Very clearly, the people that truly were excellent in what they were doing made the decision to be excellent. It wasn't an accident. It was a decision. It was never chance. They understood that their decision determines their destiny, not luck, not other people, not society, not anything, but their own decisions. And they always, what I said earlier, they always had high intention. They always had a great vision. And they knew, there weren't many, but the good ones, they knew if that vision was good for all concerned or not. It wasn't only a vision for them. It was a vision that was good for the investors, good for the employees, good for society as a whole, good for the customer. And they questioned themselves, is my vision good for all concerned? And then they did not compromise. That was the other thing. There was no more compromise. Once they determined, they made the decision to go after it without compromise. The opposite was, there was no vision. And for me, that is the difference between management. Now, the ones without vision were often still good managers. They were focused on today. They managed processes and products, and they controlled people and so on in a very strong way, and were successful. But the great leaders did it always for all concerned. And they never compromised on the vision that they had. Fascinating to see that. And fascinating to see that there's so many more managers than actually leaders.
That's a really interesting point there, Anthony. More managers than a leader, right?
And it's an amazing point. It kind of feeds my next question. You are a person that is known with high standards. When you're in a boardroom or in a meeting with you, everyone stands up straight, and some people may get intimidated. Most people probably would, especially as you've gone on with your career. But you said one of the things that I hold true to myself is I don't compromise. And not compromising almost got me fired 3 or 4 or 5, 600 times. How does someone get into a meeting room with someone like you and maybe not tell you you're wrong, but gives you a different vision? And you may be against that vision, but that person is not compromising their belief and their thought. How do you handle that? And give me an example, because my biggest problem with younger people today is they're afraid to stand up to people that they see as a leader or someone that may be smarter than they are. And I always say, if I'm the smartest person in the room, please make sure you leave the room. So give me an example of something that's happened in your career to demonstrate that.
Well, in running Ritz Carlton for 19 years, and having every 4 weeks a vice president meeting or many meetings with employees and so on, asking questions changes the scene. And so, but having a situation and often asking a question and hinting that you really felt left, even though you believed right, and open a discussion. I made it very clear before we went into meetings, when anybody joined again, look here, in this meeting room, everything goes. Every argument goes. We can argument each other. But when we leave this meeting room, we're united in the decision that happened. And I will not forgive anybody that then goes out there and play politics or makes any kind of statement against what was decided. But in the meeting room, you have every right to argue with me in every way. I made that very clear. Now, saying that is not enough. You have to live it then in that meeting room. And I knew I had to overcome it with asking questions. What do we, even though I was totally convinced it had to be done X way, I went in there and said, here's an issue. What do we think about it? I'm not sure. I can think this way and sometimes the other way. Help me to find a solution here. And that helped dramatically. The question, the asking questions, and not give in, not immediately show your opinion. Otherwise, there were always somebody who wanted to please you by verifying your opinion. It doesn't work that way. You will never get the best answers with that. We actually played a role, we call it a force field analysis, and we wrote things down. How many people believe in this, and how many believe in that, and how can you live with this one and with this, and so on. It's a long story, so that it wasn't my opinion that came out of there.
Fascinating. All right, so a couple of thoughts that I have for you, Horst, is how do you maintain a level of excellence when you're not feeling excellent? A lot of days, a lot of us wake up and it's really hard for us to really be fully in the zone, to really do everything we can do, be successful. Anthony's laughing because this is just a constant struggle that we have from time to time.
No, guys, you have to be driven by a vision that you established. If your vision is not clear, your decisions won't be clear. But if your vision is totally clear, and let me take Capella, for example, we will be the vision, we will be the finest service organization in the world. Very similar in Ritz Carlton. So every decision has to support that. You cannot then say, oh, you did a lousy job there. Well, he's a nice guy. Oh, okay. No. I mean, well, it's difficult to find new people. No, you have to make very clear. This is what has to be done. And you know, the stuff, guys. I give you a silly example, which I've given many times. It's a silly example, but it's so clear. It's an everyday vision. We forecasted for Boston, we forecasted an occupancy that January of 68%. That was early on. I was very involved. We knew patterns of arrival, we knew everything. And 68% was makeable. We did 55%. The vision, if you will, was 68%. So I called the general manager and said, hey, what happened? Well, Boston, ice, snow, storms, January. Oh, I said, wait a minute, I didn't call for the weather report.
Right.
I could have very easily go along with that excuse. It's not, I have no right as the leader to make excuses. The decisions are good for all concerned. I have to stay for that. It would be immoral for me to say, oh, I understand now. I said, wait a minute, I didn't call for the weather report. I want to discuss the occupancy situation because we will have another January. And he said, wow, it's because, no. What about the Copley Plaza? What did they do? Well, they were very slow too. I said, that implies they had customers. I want to know why they didn't stay with us. I want to know, they didn't arrive on the airport and said, oh, ice, snow, storm. That means I don't stay in the Ritz Carlton. You see, this compromise of leadership is unacceptable. It's not moral.
Right. So what you're saying then, sir, is that in order to achieve excellence, you really have to look at things much more than what may appear to be the direct evidence in front of you. You need to look at all of those other things that we might not typically notice, but at the same time are really critical to get a really complete understanding of why your hotel is doing what it's doing. So just to recap, so you have to look at all those extenuating circumstances out there, anything else, and see what are we missing that person over there has chosen not to stay with us.
Well, here the reason that he gives, I wanted a solution. Since that really exists, since you know why, what is the solution so next year that doesn't happen to me? That's it. I mean, again, let me say it again. Excellence is not an accident. Excellent is a high intention. I had high intention, and now I am responsible to make sure we find the answer to get to those high intentions, because that high intention is good for all concerned.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
And if you don't have that high intention, excuses are easy. And I think that's what you're talking about.
That's the point.
The reason I was smiling when Glenn asked you that question was because I knew your answer, because that's what you taught me, and that's what Jerry and Zarella taught me, and that's what this industry taught me. Eric Wilhelm, Eric Long over at the Waldorf, that's what he taught me. And that there is going to be excuses. Like right now, what we're going through is the worst thing we've ever gone through in our industry. So we can look at it as an excuse, or we can say, what's our intention?
That's right.
And I think that is so important to the leaders now, because you said something that I wish more people would say. There are too many managers, not enough leaders. I was in the military. There were a lot of leaders, very few managers, a lot of leaders. Outside the military, 99% managers and very few leaders. And so how do you get someone to understand that excuses will always be there? Yes, we have this plague. Yes, we have this horrible event in our industry. But so what? We have high intentions.
So what? I mean, I didn't hire a manager to tell me why things cannot be done. I hired a manager to find solutions in the circumstances that we are in. We're the ones who are supposed to be thinking management. That means constantly leading toward excellence. And I'm going to underline this one more time for all concerned.
Right.
Because if I'm only leading for me, I'm not a leader. I'm an egoist. I'm a selfish.
Right.
Never mind.
But say I'm working for you and I think I'm excellent. How do I know if I'm truly being excellent or convincing myself that I've actually achieved excellence when I still have progress I could make?
Well, that will never stop. There will always be progress to be made. There is no end to that.
Right.
That's a moving target up there and moves forward. No, well, you as long as you look again. I mean, I know I'm zealous about it. If your vision is totally clear, and your decision should be all geared toward that vision, and if you move toward that vision, it was the right decision. Now there's setbacks. Of course, there's setbacks. I fell in the mud many times. Then you have to get up and get your stuff together and start moving forward again. That's why wherever you are in your studio or in your living room. How did you get there? You made the decision to go there. If that decision wouldn't have existed, you would have ended somewhere, who knows where. It is not different. And leadership implies that you have a destination in mind. You're leading towards something. And that should be the guiding principle in your decision making from there on. But the problem is, well, as you said before, people don't find excuses like the weather was bad. Oh, wow. No. That's not your business. Solutions is our business as leaders. Solutions. I'm thinking, I don't know why I think right now of that again. I'm thinking of the difference between leadership and managers. Go to one hotel and, they pick you up and you come from the corporate office. Oh, Mr. Shultze, they come pick you up with a limo. The GM and says, I'm so grateful that you're here. We are happy, which of course is a lie. Because they're glad when you leave, not when you come from the corporate office. But they show you the hotel. And then you ask them, where will your hotel be a year from now? And the answer is, if I had a bigger ballroom, if my restaurant would have a street entrance, if I would, all the ifs.
Right. So
Wait a
all
minute.
that just excuses again
Just
at the end of the day.
The
So-
leader has no right. But the leader, if I would have asked the same thing, a leader, would have said, a year from now, people will respect us. But people now, we will be recognized. He has a vision. He sees something. But the manager immediately comes with excuses.
Right. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there who might take what you're saying as offensive to them as
Sure.
opposed to being in the right spirit. How do you negotiate that? Or does that even matter to you? Or do they just need to get on your page and understand it?
Yeah, well, I keep on insisting. I want to know where you are in a year from now, so I can make a compromise. I mean, I go to a hotel. My visit goes very simple. On a scale of 1 to 10, that's a funny thing. And I remember going in New York to a hotel, and they said, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? I take division by division, sometimes departments. And scale of 1 to 10, where are you? And they say 7, 8. And what is the gap? Let's understand the gap. And of course, I looked at the hotel and I have an opinion. In New York, think about it. I asked the housekeeper, scale of 1 to 10, how good is housekeeping? He said 10. So I said, well, let's look at a few rooms. We looked at a few rooms, went back to the office, and I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you? And he said 6. After we looked at a few hours, and now what's the gap? What is the gap? How are you going to close the gap? That's it. And then, of course, the same thing goes with the relationship with the employees. What is it? And of course, you measure it. You make your surveys, and you see how close they really are. And ask them, help them to be leader, help them to think about the employee, help them. But I have to say, when I looked at one company I worked at 65 hotels, I made a personal survey, when I worked in the corporate office. What, in my opinion, now my personal survey, not scientific, I want to make that clear, but I'm sure it was close to it. Of the 65 general managers, I believe there were 5 leaders and the rest were managers. Sad. Yeah. Very sad.
I can't agree with you more. But when you have that leader, it feels like you're reborn. When people are about to leave a job, I go, why are you going to leave a job? And when people call me for advice, they're just like, well, I hate my job. I said, no, let's break it down. You've always wanted to be in the hotel business. You've always wanted to manage people. This is your dream. It always comes down to 100% of the time, I hate my boss. It's never the job. It's the boss. Never.
It's no different. It is fascinating. Think about it. It's not different than what the customer feels. They don't feel respected. They don't feel included. They don't feel part. That's it. They don't feel like they're belonging. Aristotle, 3,000 years ago, or 2,500, whatever, said people need purpose and belonging. Purpose and belonging. Purpose is the vision. But we hire people not to be part of a purpose. We hire people to fulfill a function. Not different than the chair in which I'm sitting right now is fulfilling a function. I mean, come on. They're human beings that we hire. We hire them to be part of something, part of a purpose and belonging, and give them belonging. If they would feel that they belong and are part of something and are contributing part of something excellent, they wouldn't go away for a few dollars. Everybody says, why do you have turnover? It's money. It's not true. We didn't lead them to be part of this, to have purpose. Think about it. And Adam Smith, 300 years ago, studied the human being, and he came to the conclusion that human being cannot relate to orders and direction. Instead, human beings can relate to objective, purpose, and motive. Now, there you are. And not different than Aristotle did 2,500 years ago, but we still give orders and direction rather than giving them belonging and purpose.
Why do you think so many people operate erroneously by offering direction instead of delivering purpose and meaning?
Because of who we learn from. We learn from people. The whole thinking that exists now in how to manage was created during the Industrial Revolution. Taylor, Taylorism. He said and taught, and people adopted, everybody adopted. They do, that means the workers do, and we think. In fact, don't make them think at all. Give them a few things. Let them only tie those 4 screws. They don't even have to know what they're building. As long as they tie those 4 screws, and the next one puts on the door, and the next one puts in the whatever. We think and they do. What an insult. And of course, Ford, who is a hero of us, let's be honest, Ford one, he was worse. He said to his human resource, don't hire me anybody with a brain, hire me somebody with 4 hands so they can do. And we still have 1 foot into that management. That's management. We still have 1 foot in it, no matter what. But the human beings that are our employees, they don't accept that anymore. And we still do it. And then we complain that people leave, that we have high turnover. I mean, this whining in our business, high turnover. I was recently, allow me to go on for a minute. I was recently in a group with all kind of 5-star managers. They all complained about difficult to get people. I predict what that will lead to. I predict now that because it's difficult. So what I'm going to do, I make automation. I let them not check anymore. Let them check in with the app, with the iPhone, and go in their room, open the room with the iPhone, and check out with the iPhone. They don't need to see anybody. With other words, the brands of today will all be commodities, sleeping commodities. That is what's happening because of the excuse already. I can't find help.
Right. You're right. I've got a question for you that I think is really great. I'd love to hear your opinion on the balance of leading from the hotel on property versus leading from the corporate offices. Are more disciplines being centralized, and how does that impact finding visionary leaders for the hotel level?
Yeah, that's a difficult one. There will always be this conflict between centralization and decentralization. What happens very simply, it always starts with decentralization. Why should I tell the hotel in Shanghai what to do, and the hotel in California and the hotel in Philadelphia have the same rules and regulations? Because they're totally different. But then something bad happens. And we say, in one hotel, and say, oh my goodness, we have to make sure that never happens anywhere else. So we create another rule. Pretty soon there is somebody who sends memos on rules, and then you have more rules, and there are rules put onto Shanghai which make absolutely no sense to have in Shanghai. But that's what happened. That conflict always happens. But you want to have leaders in each location, but at the same time you're a brand. So what I did was very simple. I created 20 points, and we made clear those are the non-negotiables. Those are the values of Ritz Carlton or Capella. Those are the values. Those we don't compromise. The rest you can fit into your location.
Right. Wow. That's really interesting. Anthony?
The person that asked that question was Rose Genovese. Rose Genovese is a legend in our industry as a director of sales. She worked in New York. She worked for Langham. She worked for the one and only. She actually consults with me. She's one of the legends. So thank you for answering that question. Because she's been in those situations. So thank you so much. There's another question. Can you have Mr. Shultze on every week?
Every week.
It's great to hear from a true legend. And so we're making this offer every Tuesday. Will you be our guest?
I'm happy to do it again. You call me. You tell me.
Okay, we will. And thank you, Peter, and thank you, Jerry, for helping us get Mr. Shultze on. I'm sorry.
But let me tell you, the way I will answer all your questions if you read my book.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
we are scrolling it on the bottom right now. Excellent Wins, a no-nonsense guide to becoming the best in a world of compromise. You can get that at Amazon, of course, wherever books are sold.
You know, I think the title says everything, because that's the world is compromised, right? We know that, and it's compromised because of leadership and because of the things that we see. So we see it, it's easy, so we'll do it. Why should I do it, not do it if they're doing it? Why can't I take the easy way out?
That's right.
And so I love the name of the book because that is the world we live in. We live in a world of compromise.
Yeah, exactly.
And I also
that's,
feel
of
like we
course-
live in a world, Horst, of shortcuts. People think that they can achieve excellence or success by taking the easy path. But I always argue there is no easy path to
There is no
genuine
easy
success.
path. There is no easy path. You stick to it. You have to stick to it. And again, I know I'm overselling this probably, but you see, if you have a great vision that you're really agonized about, that you really thought, is this really good? Then you cannot compromise anymore, because any compromise I make, then I'm going against the investors, I'm going against the employees, I'm going against society, I'm going against, I can't do that. Once as a leader, I really think my mind totally into it. Is this vision good for all concerned? It's impossible morally still to compromise. You cannot.
Well, how do you then tell people that you can't compromise? Because quite frankly, we all, in certain parts of our careers, we feel sometimes we must compromise. We must go against what our gut is screaming at us in order to keep a job, or feel like that's what we have to do to move forward.
I believe that's why they say it's lonely on the top.
Yep.
That's why, because you have to sit down with yourself and fight and know that by the decision, people are going to be peed off with you and everything, right. But you have to do it because you know it is right for everybody, and that's what that's the pain that you have to go through with. Is this good for everyone? I had many sleepless nights. I have to let this guy go. Is that right? Is that right? Yes. If I don't do it, I cried. But if I don't do it, I'm compromising.
You know, I always tell my team, and I've learned this through leaders like you, that our job is to go to the edge. That's our job. And if we're all holding hands together at the edge and one of us fall, we all fall. But if we're not holding hands, we're going to watch somebody else fall. So if we're holding hands, and if you can't hold my hand, you don't belong on the team. So being at the edge is, to me, where you always need to be that leader. And when you said it's lonely at the top, I've never realized that until I started to get positions where I was in position. And I left the position when I was in Orlando simply because I was so lonely, because it was just like, it was just so, it was almost traumatic for me, because I was a senior vice president, and it was really a traumatic experience in the sense of the loneliness. And I feel that even now sometimes. But Glenn, the question you ask, to me, when I smile, because I truly feel it's here or it's not. Mm-hmm. And I can follow you, but if it's not in my heart, your uncompromising way will break me. But if I am uncompromised in my heart, I will get adrenaline from that.
Yeah. Well, you put it in a great way. I remember an incident very clearly. There, I had to let the general manager go. I had to do it. I tried everything to help him. I tried to support him. Of course, the number one rule is to make people successful. That is of course a given. It's, as a leader, you make him successful. But then it comes to a point where there's a line. And I had this general manager his wife was a close friend to my wife, but I knew I had to let him go. I remember sitting at the edge of my bed at 3:00 in the morning, tears in my eyes. But I knew if I am responsible, if I'm a real leader, I cannot compromise with them. I have to let him go. Otherwise, I'm going against everybody else. So the pain, I couldn't. That was something I couldn't share with anybody else in the company,
right?
Because they could never feel it, because he was my friend.
And I think that's an incredible point, because when you let somebody on that you know is not at the standard of everybody else in the team, it compromises the team. They may not say it. They may like him as much as you like him, maybe more. That might be their brother.
Right.
But they know intuitively that we're keeping him on the team because we feel bad for him, or because we like him and he's part of ours. Instead of, one of the things that you teach me, and people like Jerry teach me, even Peter Crissetti teaches me every day, is that every single day you have to bring it. Every single day you have to be at your best. There is no compromise every day. You have to earn it. You have to earn that paycheck every single day.
Excellence is not a sometimes thing. Excellence is an all the time thing. That is that simple. It's also the excellence in product. When we get our customer satisfaction stories surveys back, and we had them ongoing, and we have 90% satisfaction. It's not enough. I want over 90%. I want over 90% loyalty. My expectation was minimum 92% top box, not satisfaction. Top box, 92%. That means 92% of guests on the scale of 1 to 10 say 10. We want to come back. We want to recommend you. That's my expectation. And anything else is not good enough. Sorry, figure it out where you were failing. And by the way, what my threat to to the managers was, if it is not 90, if it drop under 90, and you don't improve it within 2 months, I will move into the hotel and fix it for you. That was
and that's definitely what you don't want. So
I love you, because that's exactly that. That's not like a threat. That's a promise. And that's right. That's an amazing statement. When you read the book, Excellent Wins, what do you want people to come away with? If I read the book and I'm sitting at the end, what do you want me to feel? What are you trying to teach me?
Well, in a nutshell, it's all about people. People and figure out on the left hand of you, there you see a lot of people. Those are your customers, your potential customer, your potential guests. On the right hand, you see a lot of people. Those are your employees. It's all about them both. Now, how do I bring them together? Well, once I know what the people on the left hand, my customers, want from me, once I totally understand what I want, I am making sure that the people on your right, the employees, know that. They know exactly what the customer wants. And as management, I help to create processes and system and controls to make sure my employees give to the customer, to the guests, what they want. As leader, I create an environment where my employees want to do it. And that knowledge, that emotion, that heart, and those processes I want to explain. And not only the processes, but the whole emotion of it, the whole thinking about it, how it all comes together. And I want to explain in in the most simple stories and ways possible, so that I speak to everybody. And that was the intent, and that there is personal honor and value for each leader. Not only the leader who lead people, but leader of self. It starts there.
So this morning, in preparing for this interview, I texted.
Wait. You prepared for an interview?
Yeah, first time ever. And I texted Jerry Inzarella, who we know is in Saudi Arabia, and I checked the time. It was only 5 p.m. there, and I'm hoping you can still hear me. I can't see him. Can you hear me?
Now I'm back. I'm sorry. Okay. I don't know what happened.
Okay. So Jerry Inzarella asked me to send his regards, have him repeat the story of how he created the mantra of ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen, and also ask him how he got all of Ritz Carlton to focus on service and employee culture, resulting in winning the Malcolm Baldrige Award. So do that in 2 minutes or less.
Yeah, well,
go.
Going back to the maitre d' that welcomed me the first day, I worked as a busboy and apprentice, if you will, and of course, typical German upbringing, once a week going to hotel school. Well, after 2 years, by that time I knew what he meant with excellence. We were asked in that hotel school to write an essay. I was 16 years old. What we now think about the hotel business. Going back to work, I was contemplating what will I write, 3 pages, and so on. That evening in the restaurant, I saw the maitre d' coming into the room, approaching a table, and I realized clearly for the first time that the people on that table were proud that he came to them. I said, wait a minute, that's a reversal. We were supposed to be the servants, and they're very important. I was told the guests here are very important, ladies and gentlemen. You are here to serve. But there's a reversal. They thought he was the most important. And I realized everybody in the room thought he was the most important. And I decided to write my essay around this. So that evening, I realized for the first time, I can define myself. By being excellent, I can define myself as a gentleman. So I wrote the essay, which I called, "We are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen." That means if we're excellent, we define ourselves as ladies and gentlemen. If we're not, we are servants.
Wow.
So when I started Ritz Carlton, I made that the motto of the organization. And I very much in the beginning of Ritz Carlton, mind you, I opened the first Ritz Carlton in Atlanta. I made sure that the buffet looked beautiful, that the flowers looked beautiful, personal touch, and blah, 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 and all that stuff. Once I grew, I knew we had to systemize some of those things. And when I looked at it, the ideal way of systemizing would be through the system of the Malcolm Baldrige criteria. I studied that because it says excellence is a system. Excellence is a system. Even the system of hiring the right people and teaching the right people and have the right relationship. And I studied the Malcolm Baldrige criteria, and we were the first service organization to win that prize of Malcolm Baldrige, which only manufacturing people did at the time. So that's how those things came together.
Excellent. I want you to know we're selling some books over here. People are saying they're ordering them right now. And someone even pointed out it's available on Audible if you want to do that too. Interesting point here from...
Tell them I love them if they buy the book.
Yeah. You're going to love a lot of people today. All right. So Jeffrey Botwinick says, sometimes letting them go is what makes them successful because they need to know that push to know that they failed. It's a way to help them grow. And that's a true friend. That's a fascinating observation that I think, and I agree with it. I think I got fired once in my life, and one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Well, no question about it. I never forget working as a food and beverage director in the Hyatt Regency Chicago, big hotel at the time. And I had an assistant. He just didn't make it. He just didn't make it. And of course, my leadership skills at the time were not as refined as they became. And I told my rooms guy, the rooms exec, my counterpart, that I would let this guy. He said, wait a minute, can I hire him? I said, sure. Bring him. Mm-hmm. Hire him. And I let my assistant know it doesn't work, but you have a chance to work for this guy. And he did, and he became an excellent leader. So I realized it was me, the leader, who kind of failed in that case. But also that under circumstances, people learn and become better. And so that is kind of what gave me a big lesson that there was somebody who was very good. I just didn't lead him right. I didn't help him right. But also under different circumstances, this man was very successful. So yes, you help people because if it just doesn't work, but you cannot compromise. You cannot try forever. There's a line somewhere.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of points. What about the whole notion? We had another question of sometimes maybe you hire someone thinking they're a leader, and it turns out they're just a manager. What do you do in that particular situation?
You help them to become a leader, and you put them in a position maybe where only function is important, but there are very few positions like that. And then if you wait for too long and don't make a change, you're compromising.
Right. So you have to balance what's right for the individual to help them be a better professional, reach that set of excellence. But if that proves not to be a case, you need to know when to cut ties with that individual at the same time.
Clearly. Mm-hmm. Guys, I have to tell you, there's construction going on next to me that's going to become louder and louder.
That's all right. We'll be wrapping up, I'm sure, in just a few. Not only that, but apparently my cat was outside meowing outside the door, and everybody heard that, but nobody's complaining about the construction sounds.
Well, you know what? If you had a jackhammer in your office, I still people would deal with the noise just to hear every word coming out of your mouth.
Oh, speaking of the noise, there it is right now.
Real quick question. There's right now coming out of this, 5-star hotels and luxury resorts are going to have a problem. You're seeing that right now. They're having the biggest problem where limited service and extended stay seem to be taking impact a little bit better. But coming out of this, that high-end resort, that high-end hotel, that high-end service and culture, people are nervous that some of the brands and some of these hotels won't last. What do you say to that?
Wait, hold on. We had him muted. So
you're on mute. There you go.
Now he's unmuted. Horst, please go.
No. The high end will work. The high end will work, but not the large hotels. Not the high end which relies to 60, 70, 80% on conventions. That will not work.
So what do they do if they're a high end 60, 70, 80% on convention? What do they do?
Well, they have patiently become the absolute leader in excellence, which includes sanitation in what you're doing. So you're the first one to come back again. You have to become the very best in that particular part, which we have never really we were clean, but we were not center. You have to become the leader in that. I want to become the leader in caring and service and in cleanliness, yes. But now there is another dimension. You have to be the leader in actually sanitation. Okay.
Wow.
But you have to let the people know. Let the people know that you have it. And if you're the leader in that, the first convention, the first meetings that come back will come to you.
Thank you for saying that. I for someone like you saying that, it just makes our job easier because we've been talking about it every day. I talk about it constantly. And it's true. It used to be service amenities, location. Now it's sanitation, and now it's hygiene. So thank you for saying that. What do you think about Vegas? Vegas is about to open. What do you think?
Nothing. I'm watching it. I'm so excited to watch that and see what happens. Are we really going to sit there with thousands of people watch a box fight? Are we really going in a casino sit 60 deep around the gambling table? I mean, I'm really fascinated about it, and I'm leave my mind open and want to watch it. I don't even want to have an opinion about it. I think it's going to take a long time, frankly.
So before we wrap up today, we got one more great question. What leaders do you admire?
Oh, there was a number of people that I worked with. I worked with Colgate Holmes, who was a great guy in the industry. Jerry Foley, who used to run Hyatt, who was a leader. You followed him, but he was a total different style leader. But he was a leader, and we knew where we were going, and we had fun working. We wanted to work. We wanted to be excellent. They were all great. They were all great leaders. And when I look back, I look and see it all the philosophers in the world, because were they leaders? Yes, because they were thinking totally different than society was thinking during their time. Wow, that is true leadership, to see something different, not to see only one, to see a future that looks different. They saw it. That's why I read all the philosophers, and I am crazy about no matter what. I see, for instance, Adam Smith, where everybody who wrote Wealth of Nations. But he was a leader. He was thinking different than the world thought at the time. And it's fascinating to look at it that way. I refrain myself by bringing up politicians, but I have some in mind, but I will shut up.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
If anybody gets anything out of the time you spent with us, I hope they get that excellence isn't star-based. Excellence is heart-based. Excellence is up to you.
Excellence is your decision. Everything is a decision, guys. Something in my life. I'm here with my wife. We are married soon 42 years.
Wow.
And we are in our thing. I'm still in love with her. I don't just love her. I'm in love with her. That's my decision. I don't make that decision for me and for her. That's a decision. I don't wait for like my friends who are getting divorced after 30 some years because they don't feel like it anymore. I'm in charge of my feeling, not some feeling that comes into the room for some reason. It doesn't manage me. Come on, make a decision, make decisions. And it's let me say it again, it's your decision that determines your destiny, not luck.
Right. Wow. Yeah, that's great. So everybody out there, remember, it's up to you. Do you want to be excellent, or do you just want to be like everybody else? That's the message that I'm going to take away from today. And I'm going to dig down a little bit harder every single day to try to be the best that I can be. So thank you for that.
The only thing I have to say is amen.
Amen.
I'm happy to do it again if you want to, anytime.
Oh, yes. We would love that. Thank you so much, sir. That was really great. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day. And what's that? Yeah, double honors. Thank you, sir. We will see you again, hopefully next time. Woo! That's all I have to say. All right, I'm going to hit the next guest button. We're going to take a deep breath, and then right, and then yeah, Jeff, can we bring up that one comment before we
and as you put it up, I'll read it. Horst is
right, hold on. I got it. Boom. I got it.
Horst is king among kings. His picture in the dictionary under leadership. What an honor to hear him speak. My legendary service training at Ritz Carlton headquarters was the best training of my career to date. Wow, what a great treat to start the week. Thanks, Mark. Mark's a good friend of ours. Yep. We've had him on the show, and thank you so much, Mark. That was a great point to end that.
All right, now let's ruin these.
All I have to say is that's it. If you're in the industry, that is it. If you have a business, that is it. If you're a human being and you're alive, that is it. You choose excellence. There is no luck. There is choice, and choice makes luck. That man is a legend for a reason. That man built the greatest company in our industry for a reason. He is the godfather of godfathers for a reason. And it was probably my honor of my career to do this show this morning.
That's awesome. So let's bring on our next guest. And I do believe in luck, and I believe they are the unluckiest guests in the history of our show. So let's bring them on in.
Okay, guys, follow that.
Oh my God. I feel so, I honestly, I have such empathy for what's about to happen now. Fortunately, you guys are all rock stars. Let's welcome back to the show, Chris Green, our regular guest, CEO of Chesapeake Hospitality, Luca Orlandi of Rome Private Excursions, and Larry Korman, first time on this show from AKA one of the funniest, coolest, most awesome individuals on the service department side of the business, Larry Korman. Welcome, guys. So excited to see you here. Top that.
It's not having to follow the guy who created the Ritz Carlton. It's the guy who's been with his wife for 43 years. That's
you know what? And this is this is the perfect second part of the show, because you individually did it, right? You've created your own success. You've created your own luck. Luca, I know you for a long time. When I came and was in Italy, and I needed someone to help us show us Italy, and now you're positioning yourself and having to change because of what happened in Italy. Larry, you've had to stay true to who you are, and people in your ear all the time. Hotel extended, you have to go to a daily rate, I would imagine staying the course for your business model has been difficult. And I would also say that you're a very smart guy, because you have probably my favorite human being on planet Earth working for you. No, and it's not Glenn Houseman. Okay, what? It's Jenna. And I have a great story about Jenna that I'll tell you off. She's just an incredible person.
Does it involve the cat at gunpoint?
No, it involves a cat. She works for me. She's the director of front office. She calls me up. I know she's very close to her cats. And she said, this morning, I'm going to be a little late, because she knows I was a little bit of a tyrant. Instead of calling out for a day or two, she goes, I'm going to be a little late because my cat passed away. And I knew her cat was literally, it's her family and the closest thing to her. And I said, okay, do you think you can be here by 2?
Was it one of the Jackson brothers? She had them each named after the Jackson 5.
Yeah. But instead of asking her to take the day off or 2 days off or to feel empathy, I said, "You think you can be here by 2 before check?" That's the kind of stuff. No, but listen, like I said to you in the private chat, and I've said to everybody ever met Jenna, it's Jenna's world. We just live in it. But anyway, so I think it's a really good segue into what he was talking about, because you guys have both chosen excellence, and we'll talk about that individually.
And also a little bit ironic, because Larry's father started the business by marketing rooms that you don't need to stay in for a whole year to guys that were getting divorced. So I think that's an interesting yin yang to Horst's 43 years of marriage as well. So, we got that.
Partnered with Lord Forte, Rocco Forte's father, Lord Forte, who very much reminded me in hearing Horst, some of those comments, very similar.
So Larry, tell people about your company a little bit, where you are, and then we'll go on to Luca.
Yes, thank you. And then Chris, don't worry. Chris is the most patient man today.
Chris, everybody knows Chris.
As Glenn said, my father created the furnished apartment about 50 years ago. He had built a high-rise with his father. We were in the home building business, and it was pie-shaped apartments. Nobody in Philadelphia wanted that. He had a model, and people came in and said, "Can I take the model for 2 or 3 months?" He recognized there was an unmet need between the daily stay of a hotel and the annual lease of an apartment. So he embraced that. And when I was working in the business, starting at age 10, doing groundkeeping and then getting into sales. When I went to college, I did a hotel management project for Trust House Forte in Torquay, London, and worked with the legendary hotel manager, Harry Murray, and started picking up some of those nuances of traditional apartment and traditional hotel and trying to segue those. So when I had the opportunity, after growing Korman Suites and then Korman Communities with my brother and my father, we had this opportunity to try something with BlackRock and CalSTRS in New York City. And the idea was to take a condominium and a hotel, 5-star hotel, and merge those together and really cater to somebody staying 2 weeks to 3 months, create something very specific and special and not be everything to everyone, and really lead with design, a whole iteration towards design. So we really evolved this idea of home, apartments, furnished apartment to what I think is the highest expression in this hotel/service residence.
Excellent. So I do want to say real quick, guys, we didn't have a chance to mention it earlier in the show, but if you're interested in joining us for the poker tournament on June 3rd at 8 p.m., send a note to pokerwithanthony@gmail.com. That's pokerwithanthony@gmail.com. Get your buy-in, play against Anthony. We'll have a good time. We'll talk more about that at the end of the show, so stick around.
Larry, I'm challenging you to join. It's $500 for a seat, and I need you at my seat. I need you next to me.
I'm in. Right. I'm bringing my brother Brad at Cosio. He's the poker player in the family.
You can bring anybody you want. They're going to lose.
Just make sure you send that email to pokerwithanthony@gmail.com.
Okay, so David, you heard that. Larry's our first invite to the table. All right, so Luca, turning to you, and Larry, I'm going to quite a lot of question to you after I speak to Luca is going to be, how are you positioned after this, what's happening, and how you're perfectly positioned? And Luca, we met because I came to Italy with my family. My dad died when I was 2, and I was bringing my family for the first time. I had done a pre-trip before we went to Italy with my brother. I met my family, and then when I went back to Italy, I asked my travel agent, yes, travel agents matter. I asked them, I said, give me the best person in the industry in Italy to tour me around, to be my translator and be my driver. And they put me in touch with your company, and you're the president owner of this really first-class company. And you and I became best friends. And when I left, we were at the airport, and I left, and my kids and my wife are crying. I'm like, why are you crying? They're like, you'll be back to Italy. They're like, you're going to miss Luca. So you built this incredible, excellent service that the standard, and we talked about that, is like the standard of training that you've incorporated where other people in the industry now take your training. But tell me about your company and then what you're having to do to transition and hold on until your industry comes back. And I love you, brother. Go ahead.
Thank you, my friend, to have me in. And thank you for reminding me of those beautiful moments with you and your family. Well, as you said, I'm the owner of a private tour company in Italy called Rome Private Excursions. I've been doing this for 15 years, and I put up the tie only for you, my friend, because I know you like the ties. I didn't have it purple, so I put it blue. But anyway, yeah, fantastic to be here.
But when you started your company, you really thought about the training of your people. Talk about that. And exactly what they do.
Absolutely. I was in heaven by listening to Mr. Schultz, because that is pretty much what I'm trying to bring to my company. Excellence, not easy to do. As he said, excellence is not a one-time thing, rather an everyday thing. So what I try to do, every guide, every driver that I employ, I try to bring him up to a certain level to grant excellence. So throughout the private tours, everybody can be a private guide in Italy, but the most important thing is for sure trying to connect with the customer. You before said that you were crying when you left. I was crying too, not because you had been a customer, but because I put all myself into what I do to show the beauties of my peninsula to my guests, and in the end they don't live as guests, but they live as members of my family. And you have been stuck in my heart, and you'll be forever for that reason, because I see Italy with you through your eyes, and that is the standard I'm trying to bring up and to teach to my employees. And I'm lucky because I found a lot of great employees that are still here trying to help me in this crazy moment, and together we will make it.
But if you wanted to work for your company, tell them about the test you have to take and the standard you have to meet to work for your company. Because I don't think anyone else does that. And then other companies are using you to basically certify their people. And that to me is why Ritz Carlton and why Mr. Korman has been successful, is because you've done it differently. These gentlemen did it differently. Chris Green coming on our show every day since the second that we've been here, he's done it differently. He's kept his people employed. The success from doing it differently. So that's really what I want people to understand. So talk about that.
So yeah, thank you, Anthony, for this question. Now, being a tour guide is like being the host, the ambassador to your country, to people that come to visit your beautiful country. So everybody can tell guests coming over what the Colosseum is, but the key is the way they tell it to the people, with passion, with love, and they have to believe in what they're saying. So what I do is simple. Basically, anytime I recruit new guides for my company, I organize classes for, of course, improving their knowledge in archaeology and art, but also psychological tests to study their attitude towards the hospitality, and to see how they actually deal with clients and guests. So I go through months of training before being able to get 2 or 3 of the best candidates to come to work for me. So of course the attitude is the most important thing, and once again, they have to love what they do. If for any reason they don't like what they're doing, and I feel that they're doing it only for the money they make, they won't be working for me. Because the important thing is to make people feel like at home when they're visiting my country, and that should be the case of any job linked to hospitality. So that's what I do, Anthony, and I hope this answered your question.
Yeah, you did. So if we can go back to Larry. What does your business look like after this? You're on mute.
It looks like he's been muted.
You're on mute. Okay.
Am I back?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're in an unusual position because we have a tale of two towns. In Los Angeles, where we were in the midst of our highest season, we had people extend their stays. If they were stuck there, Kuwaitis, we had a bunch at EK Beverly Hills and West Hollywood. There were some people from China who didn't feel safe going back. But in New York, where our season was very at the low end in Q1, people were about to come in April, May, and they canceled their stays. So it's sort of a tale of two worlds, in that we're doing very well in LA and not as well in New York. But I think we'll come back earlier. There's going to be a ton of different groups that want to stay with us. They might come in for 1 week and do their work and go back home for 3 weeks. They might be healthcare professions. They might get sick of someone. They might want to use a suite as a pied-à-terre office So there's going to be a lot of ways. But in terms of the cleanliness and the anonymity, all those things have always resonated for AKA because people aren't using our rooms on a daily basis. It's a full residence, so you can be self-sufficient. You have workstations. You have a full kitchen. So I think there's going to be things that we've always championed, and I want to be very careful not to talk about all the additional things we're doing for cleanliness because I'm aware of the subliminal part of it. I don't want people to fear going out. I want comfort.
Right.
So I think it's really communicating the things we've always championed. Those basics.
And I had a friend of mine, Leo Rossi, who's an actor, stay with you in New York, and he was doing a show. And I went up to his apartment, and it was literally the cleanest place I've ever been. It was. I actually sat on the floor without my shoes on and without my socks on, and I was get off the floor. You're in the hotel. I said, no, I'm not in the hotel. I'm at AKA. It's not a hotel. That's how clean it felt. And he was there for weeks, and he loved it. And I know a lot of actors and A-list celebrities stay at your properties because they get that feeling of home, but they also have that, that just, again, what Horsey said was that it's about hygiene now. That's the new standard. And you guys have been doing that forever.
Anthony, can I take that soundbite and put it all over the world? That was awesome.
You can. And you can also hire me to do a keynote speech for you. No, but so Luca, tell us about Italy after this. I mean, Italy's opening up. Like, what does Italy look like? And when do you think you're going to start seeing us back? And what does it look like when we come back?
Sure, man. So today I was just looking at the numbers because here in Italy it's about 7:15 p.m. And the numbers I'm looking at are for sure, the best ever we scored so far. Only 385 new cases and only 78 people died from this crazy virus. So yeah, things are reopening up step by step, but it's still pretty sad. When I walk through the city center and I see stores that are still trying to fight through this moment. Hotels, guys, the hotels are closed. The hotel where you stayed at, Anthony, the last time you came over, is still closed. But I see it bright. I see it bright because on June the 3rd, the European borders are reopening, so people are starting to reorganize their structures. I see lots of people interested in coming over and live Italy like they ever did. So, I'm pretty positive, and I would anticipate that most likely, if nothing changes, towards the end of July, beginning of August, Italy will see the light again, and we're ready. We're surely ready for you. So yes, my friend, things are restarting absolutely, and we are ready for that.
Thank goodness. Well, I'm really glad to hear that. Thing about restarting, Chris Green, you have been focused. You had to leave early on the show the other day, last week, because you were really going to get set to start rehiring people. I'd love to combine a little update from what you're doing towards what Horst was saying in regards to leadership and about how you think this might be an opportunity for you to continue to push forward with your leadership style and skills and stuff like that as we enter a new period of time.
Yep. So first, I wanted to congratulate you guys. That was an amazing interview, and quite frankly, I mean, I feel very lucky to have just been able to sit and listen to him talk about leadership. And anybody that's out there in our business that doesn't take a whole lot away from that, then you're missing the point. Authentic, inspired excellence is what this is all about. And
if you didn't get anything from that, please leave our industry. I will drive you out of our industry. If that didn't inspire you, you have no business being in this industry.
Yeah, when he talked about not compromising, I've always used the term never being a watered down version of yourself, and that's what I'm scared of. Is in leadership we have to be authentic, fully authentic of who we are. And sometimes that means you show your full range of emotion, whether, to teach your team that we're human too, but people buy into leaders that are really believe in what they're trying to get done. And that's what people get on board with. So it was just an honor. It's an honor to be following him. As far as getting back to it, listen, we had a great call last Thursday with our HR team. And we are starting to bring people back in some of our markets, which is exciting. And I had some video and a few pictures of some of our team coming back, and they're just super happy to get back to serving guests. So the process is difficult. We've got to ensure all the sanitation training and everybody understand what's been going on while they've been out. But the excitement level of people starting to come back to work is really palpable in our organization. And I think it's going to resonate that we were able to keep our corporate team together and pull out of this and start moving forward.
Does this give you an opportunity to change stuff? And if so, what are you going to focus on going forward to make sure that maybe your team is even more engaged than they were before, or that'll enhance the work environment to keep the numbers lower for people who would depart?
I mean, we changed a lot, right? You've seen all the big management companies, Aimbridge and Remington, everybody come out with their new cleaning standards. Chesapeake has those. I haven't published them in the trades, but we've done all that. Our operations team has done a great job. Our training before you come back to work is extensive. So before you get back in the building, you got extensive training to make sure that we're delivering for our guests. Just like Horsty was saying, that you've got to be excellent in sanitation. So that's going to be the new normal going forward. I think the business environment's going to return to a little bit of the pre-COVID stages at some point, but the new normal is going to be super, super sanitized and super clean. So that's going to probably be the biggest change. But really, the palpable feeling of being back to doing what we do best and serving is what's been the biggest difference. There's a longing inside people in my team, and I'm sure in all the hospitality teams around the country, to get back to what we do. We miss it so much, that personal interaction and picking up, like Horsty said, to be in the maitre d' and serving that table. That's what we live for. If you're in this business and you don't live for that, then you need to find something else to do. Anthony will take you to find somewhere else to work.
Larry, I have a question for you. I have a two-part question. I'll ask the first part, and then I'll ask the second part after you answer the first part, if I don't forget it. What is your company doing? It's an easy question. The second one is a harder question. But what is your company doing to show those visual cues of that hygiene is the new luxury? What are you doing?
We're doing some things that we've always championed really well, showing physically people cleaning. We're doing some fun things like, the A logo that you would have for a restaurant to show they got an A grade. We're doing an A logo of that outside that we've given ourselves an A or something like that. The Good Housekeeping seal of approval. We're going to partner with Johns Hopkins or the Mayo Clinic. We're also going to create a seal, almost like when you get a gift before you enter your residence. It's almost going to have a seal that you're breaking, like nobody else has ever been in this, even though they know somebody might have been there a month ago or something like that. We're going to have a gift basket, but instead of focusing on face masks, we're going to be doing eye masks, so that the subliminal messaging is that while you're at AKA, all those things that you worried about elsewhere, you don't have to worry about here. Whether it's taking a plane, going in a cab, going through the streets, once you leave that chaos and come into the calm of AK, it's all about the things you always enjoyed: getting a great sleep, having a glass of wine with someone, doing all those things that you've enjoyed, working out, and knowing without having to think about it, because you're going to hear so much about service and luxury and clean, that it's going to be blah, blah, blah after a while. I want the romance to still come forth when you're staying with us. So we'll have those other things you need when you leave, the goodie baskets of things when you leave AK. But when you're at AK, I want the romance to be there and know deep down that all those basics are taken care of.
And that's why your company has been there for 100 years. You just did something I talk about all the time. You did upside down thinking. You looked at the problem that we're all looking at, and you went to Z. You went the bottom of it, and you worked your way back up. And you said, you know what? Everybody's going here. We're going to go here and give you vision that we're fine. Because that mask may be giving you a false sense of security. But I'm telling you, once you're here, we've done it for you. You're going to be safe. And to me, that is brilliant. And that actually leads me to my second question. Ooh. That in some ways, obviously this has been tragic for me personally, because I've lost somebody close to me. And it's been tragic for a lot of people. So I'm not making light of this in any way, shape, or form. But in some ways, this has motivated me. And I don't want to use the word, like, it's just got me like almost reborn to like when I first came into this industry. And the thinking the way you're thinking and the way you're like, even when you came on here with your big smile and your enthusiasm, like I want to be around you because you obviously understand the greatness of this moment, but you also understand the purity and the truth that we're able to provide for our guests. And only we get to do that as hoteliers. So do you feel like almost reborn?
I think there's going to be such a heightened sense of awareness and appreciation just to go to a restaurant and get a burger. So I'm as bullish as I've ever been. I think there's going to be unbelievable opportunities. We might be taking one step backwards for many giant steps forward, especially for what we do in terms of the longer lane stay at a higher level, having the workspace, the self-sufficiency. But I've tried to imbue passion and compassion. I want my team leaders and team members to feel the energy and enthusiasm for what I feel is ahead of us, but I also want to be very aware of the anxiety that each of them have. So I'm in constant communication. I'm sending lots of funny emails, animal emails, interesting articles, just trying to stay in touch and over communicate during this time period. But I want them to feel the passion, but I also want them to understand the sense of compassion we all have, because if you treat your team members well, they in turn obviously treat your guests well. And I think that wants to carry through. But Anthony, I'm with you. I have such a heightened sense of awareness, appreciation, and excitement for what's to come.
One more question, and sorry, Glenn. I know I have one more question. And I don't mean to bring you back, Larry, but I'm gonna hold your feet to the fire here. Many years ago, I interviewed for a general manager job in your company. And after the interview, and I was told that, lights out, I did it. I'm going to get, basically, the job's mine. And then I was told that someone up, and I don't know if it was you, but somebody up in the chain said I was overqualified. What the hell?
It was.
I'll just answer, Anthony. You are not overqualified for anything.
So going to Horst's thing, that's a good segue to. And I remember your name, so I absolutely remember the story.
What happened?
So I think our company's a little like Disney in many hands, many hearts. So I never feel alone. I feel like I'm with people that I worked for when I was 10 years old, 15 years old, 20, who have been with us 30, 40, 50 years. And I think you have to give autonomy. So there are many people that I have interviewed that I think are hands down spectacular. But we work as a team so that when we're in difficult situations, we work together as a team. It's team-based, but also you have to give some autonomy to those to spread their wings, as my dad did to me. And with that, there's risks for that. There are people that we have not hired that I think we made a huge mistake. And I'll wrestle with those.
Well, the good news for me,
one of those that
the good news for me is two things. One, you have Jenna, who's much better than me. And number two, the person that said no to me, you fired. So I'm good.
I know exactly who it is. I know the story. You give them as much as you can autonomy until you, as Horace said, realize that it's.
No, and to be honest with you, at that point in my career, I really did have a lot of opportunities that were bigger than that position. But there was something about AK, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, but this is the truth, that I really felt there was something that I remember going back to my days when I was 27 years old or 29, being a general manager of Lucerne and feeling a connection to the building. And I remember feeling a connection to that building that I haven't felt because it was in Times Square, because it was like this vibrant thing that I was just like, that's what I want to do. It's not what I have to do. It's what I want to do. There was more money and bigger opportunities, but I wanted to run that hotel. So when you let that gentleman go, I was very satisfied. Thank you.
Anthony, Jenna's at both Times Square and Central Park, which means Times Square is available. If you're looking for our way back, we have big plans.
Dude, don't ask me twice. Don't ask me twice.
So, Chris, have you ever considered not hiring Anthony for a job?
Only recently. Only recently.
Listen, my greatest compliment is when someone said to me, another legend in our business, when I resigned from the company, he just bought the company, and I resigned basically 6 weeks after to go on to a bigger job. And I said, I'm sorry, whatever. He comes into my office a couple weeks later and goes, I'm glad that today's your last day. I said, why? He said, because you were a couple weeks from being fired. And I said, why? And he said, because we like people that do what we ask them to do, not do what they want to do. I was like, then don't hire me.
Right.
Anthony, that goes hand in hand to what I just said, is if you want people to take initiative and action, you have to be willing to let go a little. And it's very hard for leaders to let those people spread their wings. And my dad let me do it. And there's regional directors or vice presidents I've had who I don't agree with everything they do, but you have to be willing to do that for them to do things different.
And one of the great things about Jenna, the young lady who works for you, is Joe. She's general manager still, right? At the one downtown.
Managing director, senior managing director.
And I'll tell you one of the things that I think we all have to a certain degree, but Jenna has to a whole different degree. Jenna will never do anything you tell her to do because you told her to do it. She won't do it. She will make it her own, and she will tell you 600 times why you shouldn't do it. And even after she agrees to it, she's going to make it her own. She literally lives in Jenna's world and is one of the greatest achievements of a human. She really has been able to accomplish great things being her.
And you have to embrace that and give her her runway to do that. So for instance, she likes to take a family vacation, her husband, her parents, 3 weeks a year, right as everybody starts coming back to New York in April. You embrace it. One, the deal is she has to send me lots of pictures because I love where she goes.
She has lots of pictures.
She always has her AK hat on. So this year I told her she has to take her AK shirt with her. But tons of pictures, but you embrace that. You embrace and champion a spirit like Jenna's.
Absolutely.
And I just want to make it clear that whenever I leave the house, I take my Chesapeake Hospitality Yeti mug with me wherever I go.
there
it is.
I actually have a tattoo on my back of Chesapeake. You want to see it?
Yeah.
And I'm getting a picture of Chris on my butt, but that's another story. So Luca, getting back for a second, one of the things that we spoke about, because we're friends, we talk all the time, and when I was in Italy recently, we hung out, and but one of the things that fascinated me, kind of what Larry was saying, is like he looked at things and he changed, right? And he's seeing it differently than everybody else. And he's the first person that I spoke to that really seeing things differently. You're changing, like right now, your company basically shut down and you have to make income to keep your company alive. And one of the things that I found about you that is really is your heart for your country. You love Italy more than you love anything. I would even say it's as close to at level as your family. You love it like it is your family, and it's because it's giving you everything. So tell people, and this is kind of, I wasn't preparing for this, but this is kind of a shameless plug for you about what you're doing now and how you're still getting that heart of Italy out there.
Yes, thank you for this question, Anthony. That is something wonderful that you're asking me, because the moment I saw that this pandemic would have brought us to a shutdown, I thought not to stop it there. And after creating a certain audience on my Facebook page, I started to try to transmit the passion I have for my country by doing video tours, virtual tours of Rome, of Italy, and trying to get them out there to my audience through the socials. And not only that, trying to organize through Zoom or whatever social, these classes of art history, keep on talking about Italy, keep on, throwing out there Italy. And another thing that I did, if you allow me another 2 seconds, all of this thanks to my marketing manager from Humans. But by the way, I thought to contact the best guide of every country of Europe and try to create a network altogether. But like you were saying before, this is a moment of change, but also it's a moment to think on how to restart. So I thought that we all tour guides in Europe are facing a big trouble now. So why not join together? And you will hear pretty soon also all the travel agents out there about this new project called Guides of Europe. So basically I put together all the best guides of Europe in a single platform in order to be out there ready to be utilized by the many guests to come to see Europe. So I never stopped. I continued trying to transmit Italy out there to everybody, even if in a lockdown. So that's what I did, Anthony.
And one of my favorite stories is you were also educated in America. I can't remember what college you went to.
Ohio State University.
Yeah, and apparently they take guys from Italy, they turn them upside down and make them drink beer.
Yeah.
Upside down. And when you told me that story, I thought that was hysterical. But your degree is in archaeology?
Linguistics. So
okay.
five different languages plus all the dialects. I'm also learning Texan, to be honest with you. So
okay, so right now I wanted you, because to me the way you're transitioning, the way your love for Italy is the way Larry's love is for his company and Chris' love for his company and our love for the industry. Name one thing in a minute or less that we don't know about Italy? One thing that everybody on this panel can learn from you about Italy.
Well, that Italy is the 85% of the world heritage. So you come to Italy, and in 11 hours from the north to the south, you see mountains, lakes, art, food, beautiful women and beautiful people, and a lot of culture. We can go back of about 3,000 years in such a small place, guys.
So you're saying 85% of people on Earth come from Italy?
Say it again.
You're saying 85% of people on Earth come from Italy?
No, just Brooklyn.
No, all the bada bing, bada boom. Yeah, right. Forget about it. Yeah.
So
No, I
Larry,
think
so Larry, of everything that Horst said on the show, what's the one thing that resonates with you?
I think for me, I think the weakest link that we have maybe 25 team members, not 250. So you might have the top front desk person there during the same time your general manager there, assistant managers there, but that person who's the weakest link, who's there maybe at 2 a.m., that's the person who's staying with you probably most depends upon. So you're only as good as that person. So you have to look at each team member, help them, give them all the support, but recognize that each person, all the way down the totem pole around that circle, as opposed to a totem pole, is a critical link. And a lot of those people that you might not see during the day, the 9 to 5, is there when your resident or guest is with you. So I think what resonated with me wasn't the alone part, because I feel like I'm not alone, is because of the Jennas and all the other people who have been with us, is really that that you really are dependent upon, the guest experience is dependent upon each individual team member, and even more so where we're more quality over quantity with our team members.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's been with you many years. And every time I go in and I talk to people when I go to see her, I haven't seen her in about a year or two. I say, so tell me about Jenna, as I'm waiting for her to come down. And their face lights up. And that's what you're able to do.
I'm starting to feel nothing personal, Larry, but I'm feeling we got the wrong person on the show from your company.
You have the wrong person. Trust me, it's Jenna's world. I am with Anthony. She's the last person I saw when I was last in New York.
Okay, one story, real quick. Okay, we just turned around the Algonquin. We opened it up, and things just lit up, and we were successful. And a big part was for Jenna. So I said I want to have a team building after it opens. When we went up to Tarrytown Castle, and I said we're going to have team building in the morning, and then you guys vote whether we just have drinks or we have team building in the afternoon. And of course, everybody just said let's do drink team building.
Right.
So right after we finished lunch, I said, the person that jumps in the pool first, as I said this, we all had our clothes on. As I said this, she was running. As I said, gets $100. She took air and she jumped in the pool first with her clothes on. And she goes, give me my $100. She was the first person in the pool. And
we did a fundraising for our chef at 8 Kitchen and Bar. He was in that train accident in the first car. 6'5", 250, was thrown, paralyzed, head down. So we created a wine. This is one of them in his honor that we were going to sell at all our restaurants and clubs, but all the restaurateurs in Philadelphia embraced this. And we did it, a fundraiser for $500 a person at the vineyard next to my house that was making this for us. And all the great chefs in Philly came. Many have won James Beard Awards. And I invited all our managing directors and their husbands and wives to this event. And afterwards, about 5 couples came back to the house, Jenna and her husband being one of them. And we just had all this great food, all this great wine. And Jenna pulled out a big bag of cigars the size of cannons, lit one up, and we were all sitting around there. So Jenna's the life of the party all the time.
Of course, she always is. So don't you feel bad, Glenn?
No, I just want to. I just want to meet Jenna at this point. All right, so
she needs to be a guest.
For more great Jenna chat, you can catch Larry and Anthony's new show. We love Jenna. Also, just so you know, guys, we're going to be back here at 3 p.m. doing a special tech show. That's in just an hour and 20 minutes. We're going to be back doing just another show, Anthony, me, and some tech related folks about distribution and pricing strategy and all that kind of stuff. So any final thoughts before we start wrapping up today? Chris, maybe you could tell us a little bit about what you're thinking right now after this whole episode or whatever you want to call this.
Listen,
What's your opinion of Jenna? That's
I think that she's on our list to hire if we have an opening. So
Good luck. Good luck. She's the most loyal person you'll ever meet.
And like Horst said, there's more than dollars. There's
no, I think this has been a great episode today, guys. You did a great job. Great legendary guest. Larry's obviously got huge energy for his company. Korman name is well known, and Luca. My first ever overseas trip was to Italy last fall, believe it or not, and I had the best time of my life. So,
but you didn't hire me.
I didn't know, but now I know. So, it's good. You guys are doing a great job. The industry, we're turning back north. I feel good about it. I feel like people are starting to move around. I'm in Florida. People are definitely moving around down here and being smart. So I'm hoping that we keep the cases down and flat and we can keep moving forward. But I'm just thinking about how inspired I was and how thankful I am to be in an industry where we can look up to mentors like that and to continue to, give it back to those that are following behind us. And I think that's our responsibility, is to hold up those standards and show the next generation how to do it.
Yep.
If I can add one thing,
please,
but I read from your Facebook page, Anthony, I loved it. Now is the time to take care of the people that have taken care of us when we travel. That is outstanding. Thank you, Anthony.
Well, on that note, I hope you contribute to our charity. Larry, I'm looking at you too. Please go to GoFundMe, USA Hospitality Strong. We're trying to raise $100,000. 100% goes to housekeepers, front desk people in our industry. There's no money going to overhead costs. It all goes to them. So thank you for mentioning that, Luca. It's really near and dear to my heart. Our poker tournament is part of that. So
will you send both out, Anthony? Both of those out, the poker and the GoFundMe?
So two separate. The money from the poker tournament goes to the GoFundMe campaign.
Do you allow an Italian playing poker in?
And Luca, you're going to donate the $500, and you're going to get a table at the poker table. I truly appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's kind of you to make that gesture.
I signed up already, Anthony. I signed up already.
So I got 3. Yes.
Excellent.
Thank you,
hey guys, thank you so much for being here today. As far as the 3 p.m. tech show goes, don't worry, you don't need to sign up. It'll pop up on your feed. So guys, thanks. We will see you hopefully again next time. Wow. Woo.
And Larry, send me your cell number. I asked you for your cell number in the private chat.
He's nodding yes behind. He's nodding yes back there backstage. And
I have a question for you. So, Glenn, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I know. But before we go into holy crap, on today at 3:00, we've got Prism Hospitality Consulting, the CIO with Mandarin Oriental Hotel Group, and Alberto Santana of Hot Sauce. Go on. Holy crap. Holy double crap.
We had someone that really, to me, was born to do what he does, and to bring it back the way he did, and to talk the way he did. And the one of the words I speak about all the time.
But let's talk about Horst, not me. Come on.
One of the things I'm going to pretend you did. I'm going to pretend. Even if you listen to Larry, right, Korman, the vulnerability, the appreciation that they show for this industry. Both of these gentlemen don't have to do this anymore. They can retire and they'll be fine. They don't need to be doing this anymore. The excitement they still have in their voice, the vulnerability they show to their guests and their employees, that's what I try to talk about every day to people in this industry. If you have excitement and vulnerability and a passion for this business, everything else is easy. And that's why, to me, like, now is the greatest opportunity in our industry if you really want to make a mark for yourself. If you're making a right turn out of this industry, you're making a mistake. But you have to have those ingredients. If you don't, I would make a right turn and get the hell out of the industry. But it was really one of my great honors. And I said it in the private chat. I said in the private chat that today was maybe top 3 things I've ever done in my career, in being able to speak to him and ask him questions. Yep. He's a difficult person to get. He is not an easy get. So, Peter, thank you. Jerry, thank you. Glenn, thank you. Jeff, thank you. David, thank you. Thank you.
And for the record, I had nothing to do with getting that interview, but I will take your thanks nonetheless.
No, you did, because who introduced me to Forbes?
Right. All right. Well, whatever. Thanks, Anthony. You're too generous. This really came from Anthony's doing and stuff like that. I want to give everybody credit who deserves the credit. Wow, what a great What a great show. I came away inspired. I came away delighted. I came away feeling really just better about things and knowing that no matter who we are as human beings, we work a little bit harder, we focus a little bit more, we can continue to strive for excellence. It's not a change for overnight, Anthony, right? It's more of just that issue we talk about, pushing yourself a little bit more, getting 1% better all the time, just continually working and striving to be the best that we can be, whether it's in the workplace or with our families or just for who we feel we are as human beings. That's kind of the message I'm taking away from today.
And he said, you have to find your mission. At 11 years old, he asked his mother and father, he wanted to go in the hotel business. And they said, why? And he said, I don't know. And they found a place, miles away from him. And he was a busboy. And he fell in love with this industry. He was born into it. He was meant to be in this industry. And to me, this is an industry that you have, like a writer, being a writer, like you have to love being a writer because that's a difficult industry to be in. This is a difficult industry to be in. And so the people in this industry, like them, the people we had on the show today, Luca, who loves Italy, Chris, who loves his company and what he does. It's like, if you don't love it now, this will crush you. So again, I look forward to our 3 o'clock, but this was a day I'll remember in my career.
And remember what Larry said, everybody, passion and compassion. I love those two things together. We usually think about them as separate, but just bringing them together really just crystallizes a lot of things in my brain right now, right?
Yeah, I thought you said something else, and I'm just laughing. I'll tell you what I thought you said.
Well, I can't wait to hear. Tune in at 3 to find out what Anthony thought I said. And be sure to join our poker tournament over there.
All right.
Without you, without you out there, none of this is going to be possible. Buy-in is a minimum of 200. Send a note to pokerwithanthony@gmail.com for registration. And if you don't want to play poker, but you want to co-host with me and give me a hard time, well, just write us a note at pokerwithanthony@gmail.com. That's $1,000 entry, but your branding will be on there. So if you've got a company that you work with and you got that $1,000, we'll advertise for you as well. So hopefully,
there's only
you'll join on that.
There's only 6 seats left. So
yep.
So 3 are gone and 6 seats to go. So hopefully we'll fill it up, and all the money goes to our charity. GoFundMe, USA Hospitality Strong. Please donate whatever you can, $1 or $1 million. I truly appreciate it. I appreciate you, my friend. I'll see you at 3.
Appreciate you. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on, and
thanks for checking in.
See you guys at 3.